Well, the new COVID-19 variant, Omicron, is the latest threat to nursing home residents. However, tonight, our KELOLAND News investigation is looking into an even greater threat to the elderly: isolation. Families of residents at the Michael J. Fitzmaurice, South Dakota Veterans Home say their loved ones have been put under extreme and unnecessary lockdowns and restrictions that continued well into the fall. KELOLAND's Angela Kennedy has uncovered some of their residents' rights guaranteed by federal law have been violated. And she exposes the toll extreme lockdowns have taken on veterans and their spouses who live in the state facility in Hot Springs.
And her husband, Ken's father, was in World War II in the Pacific Ocean.
96-year-old Erdine Couch, the widow of veteran Floyd Couch, has lived at the South Dakota Veterans Home for the last 4 years.
And she was doing fairly well before this pandemic hit.
Erdine uses a wheelchair and has limited sight and hearing. This made virtual visits difficult when all nursing homes went into lockdown in 2020.
With her, she can't hear very well and she couldn't see very well, and she wasn't totally sure who she was visiting with.
However, like most families with loved ones in the South Dakota Veterans Home, they believed there would be a light at the end of the tunnel after vaccines became available.
You get to the point where, okay, let's get double vaccinated, and then you guys are going to be free. Oh, just kidding. Just kidding. That's not true.
Kim Oberpriller's 85-year-old father, Daryl Custer, is also a resident at the home.
Somebody tests positive, oh, we're locked down for another 14 days. It never ended. The decline in him was very evident.
KELOLAND Investigates obtained these letters sent by the South Dakota Department of Veterans Affairs to residents and their families in June through the end of October this year. On October 4th, 3 staff members tested positive for COVID-19, causing a prolonged outbreak status. On October 13th, 3 staff members were positive for the virus again, continuing the outbreak status. On October 26th, 2 staff members had COVID-19, resulting in outbreak status until November 9th.
Each time a new employee tested positive, they had a 14-day quarantine in your room. That means you had your meals in your room on a paper plate, and you basically were supposed to stay in your room and not get out and not have any social contacts. And we couldn't go visit her at all.
The Veterans Home is made up of 6 nursing care and 2 independent living households. There are 13 residents per household, and 2 households share a kitchen and a staff. That's called a neighborhood. When one resident or staff member of a household tests positive, the entire neighborhood goes on lockdown or quarantine.
It throws them into depression. It restricts their physical contact with people. Oh, I got written up once because I got caught on camera giving a woman a hug who had just lost her husband.
Megan Argabright worked at the State Veterans Home for nearly a year before leaving recently to work at another facility. She was a housekeeper during long lockdowns.
It was heartbreaking to see the conditions that they were in.
Argabright provided KELOLAND Investigates with these photos. One shows a resident alone looking out a window with a urine spill on the floor. Another shows a spill in the bathroom, and yet another with black bugs on the floor.
I want more people to realize what's happening at the state home. I want our residents there to be treated equally and fairly.
KELOLAND Investigates also obtained this email from one of the home's social workers, sent in October to Veterans Home administrators with the subject, Resident Concerns. She wrote extended quarantines were taking a psychological toll on residents who had expressed the following statements. Why don't they just take us out back and shoot us? It would be better than this. I'd be better off dead. They're trying to protect us and apparently drive us insane in the process. And prison is better than this.
I've had so many residents look at me and I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to eat. Why don't you guys just take us outside and shoot us? It would be so much quicker and cheaper.
The social worker went on to say in the email, we may be keeping our residents from disease, but we are not keeping them healthy.
We're human beings. We require physical contact. And these lockdowns are causing so much depression. This is the type of stuff that terrorists pull. Locking people in cells and causing isolation causes so many mental issues.
Teresa Phillipson, the Deputy Superintendent and Director of Operations of the Veterans Home, responded to the email saying she understood the social worker's concerns and it was so disheartening to hear our outbreak status is extended another 2 weeks, another setback. She points out they were starting back with outdoor visits and says, I will do everything I can to effect a positive change. According to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, compassionate care visits are allowed regardless of a COVID-19 status because they are intended to offer comfort and care to a resident whose well-being is suffering or at risk or who is dying.
Somewhere in the middle there, they changed it to her to compassionate care, and we were supposed to be able to go see her anytime with that. However, once they went to this shutdown, they didn't let us see her at all.
KELOLAND Investigates examined the latest available inspection report from the South Dakota Department of Health on the South Dakota Veterans Home. On June 24th, an inspector found that the home failed to ensure compassionate care visits and that compassionate care visits and visits under the federal disability rights law should be allowed at all times, regardless of a resident's vaccination status, the county's COVID-19 positivity rate, or an outbreak.
After the state stepped in and said, no, you're not following the rules, that they evaluated the residents for compassionate care, and then we were able to get back on board again to go visit her in her room.
Isolation from your family was wrong, period. And we need to, so it doesn't happen again, they need to change their policies and procedures so that we do not restrict them to their rooms only, and their family still gets to see them no matter what their virus level is.
On November 12th, new federal guidance informed nursing homes to allow visits at all times for all residents. Facilities will no longer be able to limit the frequency and length of visits or require advanced scheduling. We repeatedly requested an on-camera interview from the South Dakota Department of Veterans Affairs to address these issues, but were denied. In an email, a spokesperson said that the state veterans home was following all state and federal guidelines and that when it comes to the Department of Health's inspection, a revisit in September from the DOH found that the home achieved and maintained substantial compliance with survey requirements. We have put the full email response from Veterans Affairs on this story on KELOLAND.com.